Kia ora tamariki mā, and welcome back to The Word. After Jesus had died, there wasn't time to bury him properly because the Sabbath, which was the day where everyone rested, was the next day. So he was placed in a cave with a huge rock that covered the entrance. When Jesus was still alive, he had said that he would come back to life after 3 days, and the leaders were worried that someone would come and steal his body to make it look like this had happened. So they put some soldiers in front of the cave to guard it and make sure no sneaky escapes happened. Well, now it had been 3 days and Jesus' friends were still feeling sad and unsure about what they should be doing next. Surely this wasn't the end. Some of the women who followed Jesus decided they would head to the cave to finish the preparations for his burial. But what a shock when they arrived. The earth began to shake and an angel appeared and rolled the massive rock away. The soldiers guarding the cave shook like a leaf and then they fainted because they were so frightened. Slowly, the woman crept forward and looked into the cave, but it was empty. An angel appeared and spoke to them. "Don't be afraid. I know you're looking for your friend Jesus, but he isn't here. He has come back to life, just as he said he would. Your job now is to go and tell everyone the good news. Tell them that Jesus is going ahead and you will see him in Galilee." The women looked at each other and were totally amazed. Jesus had actually done it. They started running towards home, a little afraid, but their hearts were so full of joy. They couldn't wait to tell the others what had happened. As they ran, Jesus appeared right in front of them. It was really him. This was all actually happening. Jesus spent a few minutes with them and then gave them the same message to share with his friends. Off they ran again, this time with no fear, just absolute wonder and excitement at the good news that they had to share. What they didn't expect was that the others wouldn't believe them. Peter, one of Jesus' closest friends, went to investigate and found the cave empty, just like the woman had described. Even though the others didn't really believe, they didn't know what to do next. 2 of them decided to head to Galilee, and on the way, Jesus shows up, but they don't recognize him. Jesus talks with them, encourages them, reminds them of what the Word says, and then he had a kai with them. It's not until then that they finally realized who they'd been talking to. They rushed back to tell the others, and while they're sharing their story, Jesus appears to everyone in the room. Jesus was like, "You don't need to be afraid. Why don't you believe? Look, it's me." When they looked, they could see that it really was him. I wonder why they didn't recognize him when they first saw him. Jesus goes on to remind them all of what was coming next, that they are going to be the ones who will continue to share the good news of aroha and acceptance and whanaungatanga to those who haven't heard yet. Jesus wanted them to make sure that every person they met heard the good news and that they mattered to God because they were part of his family. It was time for Jesus to go, but before he left them, Jesus gave a very clear instruction. They needed to stay where they were until he sent a helper. The helper, the Holy Spirit, would give them the power they needed to share the good news. As lifelong followers of Jesus, he wants us to share the good news that everyone has a place to belong and that in God's whānau, they are loved. Who do you think you could share this message with this week?